So what, from your perspective, what do you think of those are one or two of them that you think is really useful in any change project?
I'd probably skew towards accountability and governance. With we've said that this isn't complex, it's simple. And does willpower even exist? Whether it does or not, I think that we can synthesize the same outcomes by providing the right type of governance at the right intervals, as well as the right accountability and visibility for those results. And here's how stakeholder-centered coaching does that. Number one is daily behavioral checklist. When I have my leadership goal, for example, my goal is delegating effectively. I have my action plan printed up right here. One of my action items is clearly define the scope of work, especially how success is measured. So this is just convenient to keep everything at an arm's reach at your desk. I've got a list of the behaviors I'm aiming for and days of the week in the vertical. And every day before I leave my desk, I go through and did I do this? Yes or no? Right or wrong? Did I do this? Self-reporting. And when I meet with my coach, I send him this in advance. He already knows how I've done. He can look to see which behaviors have you struggled with in the week, which days of the week have been the most difficult. So having a daily checklist that says, did I do this, yes or no, makes you abundantly aware of your behaviors in all cases. So we have accountability. We also use the mini survey. Growth in stakeholder-centered coaching is not judged by me as the coach. It's not judged by you as the leader. It's judged by people around you, right? Leadership effectiveness is a function of how others perceive you. So instead of saying, hey, coach, do you think I'm better? Leader, do you think you're better? We say direct reports. Have you seen a change in your leader's behavior? Yes or no? That comes out as a final average score between -3 and +3. And you share this with people. I set out to get better at this. Here's how much better I did. Here's what I'm going to do in the next 6 months. So it's really applying, let's call it agile leadership. But accountability and governance, I think, is the key to ensuring the behavioral side of AI projects is smooth and effective.
I like that. Thanks, Brandon. Again, before I come to Grace, I want to throw a bit in for almost for entertainment, because when I started doing this, I had a client and they wanted to. Their goal was to get better at stock market trading, and their plan was to practice their strategy the night before. And what was so fun is the wrong word. They sent me the spreadsheet where they'd done it, and after 2 months, they hadn't done it once. They religiously did the spreadsheet. And I say they literally hadn't done it once. They then ran away. But that's me being a bit naughty. But I do want to make the point that it's just information. It's nothing to worry about if we haven't done something. It's just telling us that maybe there's something missing and we ought to do something else. We ought to either come up with a new way of doing it, or maybe it's not important and we ought to drop it. But again, I was saying some of these very simple processes are remarkably difficult, because they're hitting our egos and blind spots and telling us things that maybe we don't want to hear. So I don't want to overdo this, but I say luckily having clients is really good, because they teach me how to be brilliant and they teach me how to sabotage myself. And funnily enough, sometimes both work. So I'm not, and I'm as good as bad as anybody else. But as I say, in my role, you notice what people are doing that works, and you notice how people are stopping themselves getting the results that they want. So I'm just emphasizing that there's a lot of stuff in what you said. Sorry, Grace, I kept you waiting.
No, that's absolutely fine, Michael. And I think probably based on what you just said, not many people like to be told what to do. I think the courage and humility are really critical, because if a leader is not prepared to have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to put myself in the spot and let people tell me what it is I'm good at and what I need to be better at, then how are you going to work towards achieving that project? And if they don't have the humility to be able to say just thank you to whatever feed forward that's been given to them, how will they then be able to again grow as a leader, but also be effective in supporting the implementation of the AI project? And I think it goes also back to why, when we, stakeholder-centered coaching, humility and courage are one of those, key things you've got to establish for the lead from the leader in terms of coachability. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I'm going to double emphasize that, because I'm going to say, I know all this stuff. It doesn't mean I always do it. However, I do now 98% of the time do it in my coaching sessions. And again, it's this, I like the sort of the balance between, on one side, you've got a prison. You don't want to be there because you're killed by frameworks, because you still need the freedom to operate. And on the other side, you have chaos. And what I find interesting is the idea is to have the right touch of frameworks and discipline, that you are able to navigate between prison and chaos, that you have the creativity to be your very best. And that's one of the things I quite like Marshall's process, because it's not too heavy, it's very positive. You still have to do it, but it's not a draconian, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. It's a framework. And if you stick to the, and to me, it's a very wise one. If you stick to the framework, you cannot not learn. And I think as we go into this very interesting future, which we could have a whole few sessions on talking about, as we go into this future, these are some of the disciplines and framework that I think is, really, really, really useful.